And when they clear your dishes, they're going to clear you from the right. Okay? The second appetizer is usually hot. That could be some type of hot hors d'oeuvres or a soup. It could be a hot hors d'oeuvre or some, or a soup. They're going to serve from the left, they clear from the right. Once the appetizer course has been served, now remember, I'm speaking in terms of a charger. This charger will be removed from the table, and then they're going to bring out the main course of the meal. Once they bring out the main course of the meal, of course, I'll pretend that this is now your dinner plate, okay? You'll bring your dinner plate out. The first thing that you need to do when you sit down is what? Can anybody tell?
Put your napkin in your lap.
Put your napkin in your lap. That's the first thing. Now, if you have an employer that's hosting the meal, meaning that person has invited you to the restaurant or to their home or whatever the case may be, you need to follow the lead of your host or hostess. Do you all understand what I mean by that? You don't start eating until they start to eat. If it's a plated meal, you wait until the last person at the table has been served before you start to eat. If it's a buffet, because we don't want the food to get cold, you can go ahead and sit down and start to eat and then hopefully your whole table will be called to the buffet altogether. But normally, at a buffet, the rule of thumb is you don't want your food to get cold, and someone may be mixing and mingling and talking with someone else, and if you waited until the entire table has returned, no, that's a no-no. Okay, you sit quietly because hopefully you're going to be having professional service, right? So they're supposed to watch their table. Your key sign is to let them know when to remove your plate completely is how you place your flatware. If you cross your flatware on the plate, something similar to this, that denotes that you have completed your meal. Say you're talking and they're serving a salad, and you notice everybody else at your table, they've completed eating their salad, and the waiter or waitress is now waiting on you to finish your salad because you've been talking a little bit. Well, they'll probably come over. This napkin will be here because where's this napkin going? In your lap. And by then, of course, one thing I forgot, you always work your way from the outside. You understand what I mean by that, using your silver. You may have multiple pieces on the table other than this. And if that be the case, you still work your way from the outside in. 9 times out of 10, really, a rule, and it varies from restaurant or dinners, it varies on how they set the table, but according to the rule of thumb, you're not supposed to put pieces of flatware on the table that aren't going to be used. If you have flatware that's above the dinner plate, does anyone know what that piece of flatware denotes or what it should be used for? My people should know. Dessert. Say it out loud. Dessert. Or dessert, okay? So that's going to be the last piece, and you may have a spoon, and you may have a spoon and a fork. And depending on the situation, that will determine, because sometimes you may have an option of which dessert that you're going to choose. It could be a slice of cheesecake or a pot de creme, which is like a chocolate pudding. So you would make a choice, and they just put these 2 pieces on the table to ensure that they don't have to run back and put flatware on the table, because it could be 300 people sitting down, and they don't have time to reset flatware. Also, every time you finish, they're going to remove as much of that particular course as they can. What's this plate for? Bread. Okay? So they're going to remove everything. Once you finish your first course, they're going to take it away. You finish your second course, which may be soup, they're going to take it away. When it's time for dinner, they're going to take your dinner plate away. But getting back to when I talked about that salad, and you haven't completed eating your salad, usually 9 times out of 10, a waiter or waitress will give you an opportunity to either, they'll say, and I teach my students this, I was taught this when I was a waitress. Excuse me then, ma'am or sir, may I take this out of the way? And you know, most people say, no, I'm kind of still working on it. Well then, if your dinner is here, you look up and you see your dinner and you'll say, okay, and you'll put it right here. They'll move it to the side for you, like this. Well, this is the salad plate. They would move it over here to the side for you, or you can move it yourself. But just remember, when you're getting ready, when you are actually finished, you can rest your spoon or your knife and fork on your plate in between bites or in between a conversation. But when you cross it, that lets them know that you have completed your meal or that particular course. Any questions so far? One thing that I found out in a professional setting, and I know we sometimes think chivalry is dead. Y'all know what that means. But in a professional setting, you are not supposed, males, you are not supposed to pull the trigger out for anyone. Only in a professional setting, okay? If you are out, males, they're not taught that now. But in a professional setting, when you go to the table, you just kind of pause and let the female sit down and then you sit yourself. Y'all understand? Rather than, and I don't know what the rule is behind that or why, but anyway, just kind of remember, just kind of pause first and let the female be seated. In a professional setting. Okay, but if you got a date, that's different. Okay. One thing that I found when I was doing a little bit more research, if you can't remember the rule of thumb in regards to where things should be placed on the table and how you should use them, remember, I know everybody can remember BMW, can't you? Mm-hmm. Okay, let me tell you what it stands for. BMW stands for bread, meal, water. Bread, and that's just to remember where things are being placed. Now let's talk about eating bread. You know, when a bread basket is passed, it's usually going to be passed from right to left, like this. After the bread basket has been passed, you put your bread on your bread and butter plate. You can get the butter and you take off as much butter as you think you're going to eat. Put it on the side of your plate. Don't butter your whole piece of bread, please. And they open the buffet back up for those who would like some more. Don't rush the buffet, please. I'm going to tell you like I tell my students. I'm sure it's enough to go around, and you've got to think, you're being watched. And it's very easy for somebody to pass judgment. Okay? Because sometimes they're really looking to see, is this a person I want on my staff? You know, can this person handle being in a professional setting? Conversation. Keep your conversations light. And there are certain things that I grew up, and I learned this years ago from somewhere. It might have been my home economics teacher. A couple of things you don't talk about. Religion and politics. If you have questions and you know that you're going to be sitting with some other professionals, it may be a potential employer, or you may just be interested in a career that a person at that table has, ask them questions not personal questions, not how much you make because you're a computer analyst. No, ask questions that are going to be directly related to what they're doing, or questions in regards to their country, their company. Like, you know, in which direction do they see the company going in the next 5 years or something like that, or, you know, what positions may, don't say, would you hire me? Please don't ask that. Ask general questions that you can get a profound answer to. But if you kind of know who you're going to be sitting with, do some research so you can kind of gauge what questions to ask. I know I've had students to just come out of the box with some questions and I'm thinking, that's not good. Like, how much money y'all make? Please don't do that. Please. And you don't have to yell. Let your conversation be heard only at this table. And to ensure that people, your voice needs to project, but you don't want that person over there to hear you, you know, that sort of thing. Wait your turn when you're talking. Do y'all understand? And don't just say, excuse me, but kind of just wait your turn. Hear them out first.
What happens if you don't talk at all?
They're probably going to think that you're not good. I mean, you can't communicate.
What do some people protect themselves more than others?
Like loud, like introverts. Like,
What if that just comes naturally to them, where they're just naturally heard?
Because they know how to guide a conversation. If they're a business person and they really want to get to know you, that's probably the purpose of you guys having a lunch together, so that they can get to know you. And I've seen where employees will come back with saying things such as, this student didn't have a lot to say. It's not about having a lot to say, it's just making sure that what you do say has some substance, okay? Pray on it and think of something to say, seriously. Remember this though, when all else fails, you can start talking about how good the meal is. If you don't think it's good, don't say that. Or the weather, yeah. You can tell them about your school year, what's been going on in school. But whatever it is, it should always be something positive, okay? Don't think of anything negative. Let it be about the meal if you can't think of anything else to say. And you can, and I'm sure you can talk about food a lot. Yes, ma'am.
If they ask for your opinion on something and it's negative, do you just like...
Well, it depends on how negative your opinion is on it. You know, because usually, give me an example. You can pick and choose your words wisely, right?
Yeah.
Like if Treasure were to say, well, Chef Joy, how you like my hair? And I may say, well, Treasure, that's a nice hairstyle on you. Do you feel comfortable with your hairstyle? You understand what I'm saying? You don't always have to just give your opinion. You know. Any other questions? The main thing that you all need to know is you need to be comfortable, sit up straight in the chair, don't be tense, and please don't get to the point where you're doing this. What? What you say? When you sit down, this is the first thing you do. No, you don't have to do that.
I was gonna do that.
Put the napkin in your lap, and chances are your server is going to approach you in regards to what would you like to drink. And everything is please and thank you. Okay, if you have a special request, please and thank you once that request has been granted. Same thing with you leaving the table. If you have to get up, maybe you got to go to the restroom, maybe you're done. And you say, or if it's the end of lunch, and you can say, well, Mr. So-and-so, it was nice meeting you, and hopefully I'll get to meet you again. And say, but I must excuse myself so that I can go to class. Or if you have to go to the restroom, you just pull the chair back and say, will you excuse me just a moment? You don't have to tell them where you go. And you go relieve yourself and you come back. Do not lick your fingers, ladies and gentlemen. It may be good. When you get ready to cut, especially a piece of meat. Now, I'm going to tell you like this. Chicken is a finger food, but in a professional setting, use your knife and fork.
Most against the
And all you do is, if it's, I don't care if it's a leg, I can clean a chicken leg with these two utensils just as well as I can with these two. You always anchor your protein product with the fork so that it does not move. And then, of course, you cut with your knife. Now, but you gotta anchor it. You gotta put it in there far enough.
I like this.
And then if it's all the way in and you need to take it out so that you can eat with that fork, then you hold it still with the knife and you pull the fork out. Okay? So you're gonna have to put it in, especially if it's something like a leg. Now wings, and chances are you won't be served a wing in this situation. I would do a fork if it's professional. Now if you were somebody's backyard barbecue, that's different. That's different, okay? But chances are it won't be fries. Well, if it's a regular lunch day and y'all are eating regular school lunch, I would still use the utensils that they give you in that little pack. They don't give y'all forks?
We only get a fork from napkins.
Okay, I don't know
What about if we in a professional setting at lunch and we got pizza and
I
dip
eat
your
my
pizza?
pizza. I don't like stuff on my hands. I eat my pizza with my fork.
What if we dip your pizza in red?
No, ma'am.
Oh my God.
No, ma'am. We do not dip. We do not sop. Do y'all know what sop is?
No, ma'am.
So you like take your bread and like rub it around the plate.
Right, right. We don't do either one of those. We don't do one of those.
If it's fried chicken, y'all have hot sauce and you have to twist it.
Well, you would have to request the sauce.
But it's ghetto to bring it in first.
They're not putting nothing on you. Okay. I mean, I'm serious about this, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, some of this stuff, it sounds funny.
Oh no, I'm so serious.
No,
I
ma'am,
take hot
please
sauce
don't.
everywhere.
Please don't. No. That may be the catalyst to you not getting a job as opposed to getting one.
Just gotta ask.
Any other questions?
When do you use the words can I and may I when they're asking you?
Can is, can you do something? May means can you have permission?
May I have a lemon or can I have a lemon?
Would you pass the lemon, please?
Or we talk to a server.
Excuse me.
May I?
Do you have lemon? And then if they say yes, you say now, please. This one.
Okay. So you're saying can I get?
Yeah, water with lemon.
Yes, water with lemon, please. See, at the end, you should always say please and thank you. Any other questions? Do y'all have any questions about what we covered here in regards to eating correctly and where things are placed?
No, ma'am, though.
Shia?
If you go somewhere and it's like a whole bunch of plates, you don't know which cup or which stuff is yours.
You should know because it should be centrally located like this.
BMW.
Remember that? BMW. Huh? That's hard.
It's a car.
It's, I know it's a,
I'll have to say at the AYP dinner, it'll be something similar to this. It won't be too much. It won't be confusing. So you'll be fine. Chef Joy, did you mention about passing salt and pepper?
usually salt and pepper, depending on where it's located at the table, just tell the person to your right or your left, would you please pass me the salt? And if it's all the way over there, they're gonna get the message to that person. Don't ever do this. Do not. They will, because the person sitting here will probably get the message to that person. And please do not yell across the table. May I have the salt, please? You can tell the person to your left or right. Everybody may not want salt. The bread basket is going to go around all in the same direction. But salt and pepper, that may be a little different. So once they tell that person or that individual, it'll just start to come around. And you do the same thing. If nobody wants it, you set it down. Maybe they taste their food and they decide they don't. Or then you pass it, you know, to your left. Yes, sweetie.
Don't you have to keep the salt and pepper together? Like it's pass the pepper.
Yes, ma'am. They're gonna pass them both. They are going to pass them both. So even if they ask for salt, you pass them both. Now, I said go to your left, but if this person needs it and it's sitting right here, you don't have to do just use your best judgment.
I want to mention one thing, Chef Joy. More and more and more, when I go to events, fancy, what I call fancy schmancy events, more and more people will tell me, well, I don't like this and I don't like that, and well, I'm allergic to this and I'm allergic to that. That is not the time and place for that. Nobody cares, okay? Plus, it's rude, especially if you're at someone's home. Don't announce that I'm allergic to this. Or, well, you could say, if they say, well, why don't you try it? You could say, well, I'm allergic to nuts, for example, peanuts. You know, that's a valid concern. But more and more and more, people are ruining other people's evenings at these events, talking about what they can and cannot eat and what they do and do not like. If we're serving something that night that you do not like, you don't have to say it and blast it to everybody. Just say, well, you know what, maybe I'll just have the salad. Because usually we'll have something that you can have, right? Do you run into that, Chef George?
Yes, it's on a buffet. So
Right.
don't, if it's a buffet, you have the option not to choose that particular item. Get you a piece of bread and, like Ms. Larry said, a salad. When we have, I guess, guests who say they don't like something, generally we know beforehand, so we try to make sure that we plan something alternative. But if you're at, as she said, someone's home, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, think positive at all times, okay? Positivity will get you much further than something negative. If you taste something and you don't like it, okay, you don't like it. But that doesn't mean that you have to have a conversation about it. All you do, when I taste something that I don't like, I just don't eat the rest of it. I don't make a face. I don't try to put it in my napkin, which I do want to ask you all to please understand that the napkin is just for lightly blotting your lips. It's not a tissue, okay? You don't use it to clean your face. You just, and don't do this. Please don't. If you get something on your fingers that you don't like, keep your napkin in your lap and you can leave it under the table. Okay? Inconspicuously.
And when they're done with the meal, where should the napkin go?
The napkin does not go in the plate. The napkin goes beside, because that's why we end up with a bunch of soiled napkins. Napkin goes beside your plate setting. And they'll know that you're finished by the way you lay your silverware, your flatware on the plate.
Right, and if you guys have to excuse yourself to go to the bathroom in the middle of the dinner, and sometimes that'll happen, don't announce it to everyone, like, you know, so just put your napkin on your chair, so they'll
And then,
know.
yeah, they know you're coming back if you put your napkin on the chair. Let me see, there's something else I saw here that I did not touch on. If you've got multiple dishes, please don't stack them. Hopefully they will clean the dishes off as you finish a course, but if they get busy and they don't, if all of these things are still on the table, leave them right where they are. Please do not. It's not a good look for a guest to sit up in front of them with a stack of dirty dishes. Now, some guests do that to be rude, but you don't want that. And they'll come and get them as soon as they can. So please do not stack your dishes. I think of anything else that I need to do.
And you already talked to them about the meals about rising when kids leave.
Well, I told them, yeah, but I told them don't pull. I didn't say males.
Right.
Yeah, I told them don't pull out the chair for anyone in a
Okay.
professional setting.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
How does stacking their plates work?
because that's sending a sign that you didn't pick my dirty dishes up. No.
I clean the whole table for them.
Yeah,
I
I
do everything.
That in a professional setting and a formal setting, that's saying you need to get over here and pick up my dishes. Okay?
I didn't know that.
So you need to just leave. They're coming. Chances are you're going to have a sharp waiter or waitress anyway that's going to be watching the table at all times. Because really, they are not supposed to put down another course until after you finish. Not unless it's time for dinner to come out, like I said, and you're still eating your salad. But remember, if you go into the restroom, put your napkin on the back of the chair. That lets something out that you're way over, just know you're coming back. And just say, would you excuse me just a moment? Any other questions? Males, when a female excuses herself, I don't think you just have to get all the way
Not all
up,
the
but
way
you
up.
are supposed
Yeah,
to just
just a
rise
little bit.
enough and to acknowledge that they're leaving.
Right.
Okay? So, and then when they come back, if you see them coming back, you kind of rise a little bit, but don't get up. Because you'll be getting up and down all night long.
Well, what if she's coming back? You sit right next to her and you're talking and you pull up a chair. So,
Well, in business settings, the rule of thumb is you're not supposed to. If it's your girlfriend and you're on a date, yes.
what if it's just common courtesy?
You're a good old Southern person.
That's a Southern. See,
You
I
know,
like
and I'm not gonna say that people are gonna frown on that. So you do what's comfortable for you. Okay? Seriously.
Now, see, I've been telling them to do that, so you're saying in a business
In a
setting, they
business,
should not.
that's what I've
See.
read
Oh,
and that's
okay.
what I was taught.
Oh, okay.
But,
Okay.
any other time, they
would
say
be
yes.
A more personal setting.
And that may be from yuppies out of New York or something, you
Yeah.
know, that sort of thing, because everybody tries to be so professional and keep it so,
Uh-huh. Okay.
but,
You
you
don't
know.
think they won't take no offense to that?
I don't think they'll take offense,
No.
especially not in the South, no. Especially in the South, no. Anything else? Can y'all think of? Y'all ask the question.
Everybody good?
How
Okay.
do they know how professional you are just by seeing the way you do?
No, through conversation and mannerism. And they know that you're learning. Okay, I don't think that there's a person standing here between the three of us or know of somebody that was born a professional. We're all babes at something, right? And that's the purpose of having lessons like this. That's the purpose of having the AYP dinner. That's the purpose of having the luncheons. Well, what are the luncheons called? Where
Networking lunch.
networking luncheons. You're learning to become a professional and act professional.
The other thing, did you show them this? Like, the guys don't show them?
No, I didn't. Don't put the napkin in your lapel. Please. Because I told him it goes in her lap, but I didn't. It's not a bib, it's a napkin. Okay?
Okay.
But you're past that bib stage too, though.
Okay, well, let's give Chef Joy a hand because she took time out of her busy schedule to talk to us. Thank you so much, Chef Joy.
Okay, y'all
This is
are
gonna go a long way for us.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, I've got one other thing.